Yes, thank you, Chairman, and good morning, everybody. No, not good morning anymore. Good afternoon. So I'm going to widen the perspective a bit further beyond climate and energy and into resource efficiency in general, but actually Aldo has already done quite a few steps in that direction in his own presentation. And I'm going to show you where the 2020 strategy on climate and energy plays into the wider Europe 2020 strategy and its resource efficiency component. So let's start by a problem definition. If we look at this chart and at this slide, we see that the competition for resources worldwide, including raw materials, has increased and is still increasing. And we see increasing scarcities developing, which lead to prices rising for resources, for key resources, with an obvious impact on the European economy. If you look at the chart here on the slide, you see a sort of turning point sometime in the early 2000s. And this has obvious impacts on resource use, and we can ask ourselves what have been the developments and what are going to be the developments in the future linked to this increase in prices and increase in scarcities. And you'll see on the right side of this slide here a number of stylized facts, on the one hand about what has been happening on resource demand, on the consequences for ecosystems, and I'm very grateful to Jan Wehrling to have mentioned biodiversity, and on the future developments that are expected, including the increasing demand of China. Now, with trends like these and developments like these, it is quite clear that going for resource efficiency is not a cost to society, but offers quite a few benefits, and that the costs would actually come up if we didn't do anything. So what I've put here on this slide is a distinction between the short-term benefits and the longer-term benefits. On the short-term side, you see growth and jobs creation as a gain through reduced costs for companies, for households, and therefore an improved productivity which supports new jobs and gives new business opportunities. You also see gains in competitiveness through that process, gains in market shares for European companies that we can expect from that, especially as first mover advantages if we take the technological challenge. And indeed, the innovation aspect is an important one to take us forward there, and the pressure of increasing resource prices will definitely put up the pressure to come up with more resource-saving technologies. Fiscal benefits, Aldo has already been referring to the possibilities for taxing resource use and energy use more strongly, and to shift away from labor to, on the one hand, balance public budgets, and on the other hand, improve our competitiveness and promoting employment. If we look at the longer term, the benefits extend beyond these ones that I've just spoken about. Resilience in this case, economic resilience, means less dependency on resource imports, and therefore less dependency of economic shocks if you see the supply disruptions. And I think that's quite a topical subject at the moment. And environmental resilience means you have a stronger resilience to the effects of climate change, for example, and of the water and energy supply aspects. Lower pollution levels, lower resource use levels, as Aldo already referred to, can have positive impacts on the quality of life and human health. And finally, if Europe or if other parts of the world are less dependent on resources and therefore avoid the conflict potential that lies in the chase for limited resources, this will also increase global stability. So I've said it's not a cost, but it offers huge benefits or potential benefits. What you see here is an explanation why this shift towards resource efficiency and green growth actually makes sense for the European economy. This chart shows you the share of EU companies in different markets that are related, in the global market, by the way, that are related to green growth. So power, energy, material efficiency, water management, mobility, waste management. And you see that European companies have a major role in these areas, and that the employment in eco-industries, in the environmental goods and services sector, to be more precise and to use the statistical definition, grew by 20% in the last 4 years that we have data for. So from 2007 to 11. So this is, think about it, it's in spite of the recession that we were in those 4 years in the whole of Europe. And the game is not over yet. These markets are expected to grow, to double in size by 2020. Now, if we look at this chart, we see that the eco-industry today, this chart is not today. The little workman on the left side, these are data for 2008. So you see that today we are already beyond the 4 million level for the eco-industry. And I think it's 4.2 million in 2011 again. So the eco-industries are one of the fastest growing sectors in terms of jobs and therefore also political stability, and they will continue to grow. And these green jobs, so if we define them as all those jobs that depend on the environment or are created, substituted, or redefined by this transition process towards a greener economy, they are expected to grow further. And we've done a number of studies here, a number of scientific studies that indicate that this is really the truth and the trend. The first one, the one that gives us a prediction of what a reduction in the TMR would lead to, namely a GDP growth of about 3.3%. This one is a macroeconomic study, a modeling study. The other one, the potential gains for businesses, that's more a bottom-up study looking at individual data from businesses. We have another study to prove the point, which focuses on energy efficiency measures and the green jobs potential in them. And then the last one is actually a global analysis done by McKinsey in their 2011 publication, The Resource Revolution, which predicts that there's a 2.3 trillion, so that's American trillions, global gain in improving resource efficiency in various sectors. They have done an analysis by sector and have calculated what the gains would be. Now, so far, for the scenario of what has happened so far and what we're expecting to develop in the near future, what about the political side? And what have we done at an EU level? In order to face these trends, to face these changes, and to benefit from the opportunities that these developments offer us, we'll need to adapt our economic structures to this increasing resource scarcity. And that's a key thing of the Europe 2020 strategy. So as mentioned before, the sustainable growth dimension is one of the priorities. Resource efficiency is a key element within this sustainable growth dimension. The Commission has developed a flagship initiative that's called Resource Efficient Europe. So there are these 7 flagship initiatives within Europe 2020. And it develops concepts about how to decouple growth from resource use and to support the shift towards a low carbon economy, more renewables, shift in transport systems, and shift towards more energy efficiency. And in the framework of this resource efficiency flagship, we have developed what is called a roadmap to a resource efficient Europe. And it's a little blue booklet that I have somewhere over there. But unfortunately, I don't think we have any more paper copies left. Otherwise, I would have distributed them here. Anyway, this roadmap is a framework for the implementation of a number of initiatives at EU and member state level for resource efficiency. And one of its elements is systematic stakeholder involvement. And under this roadmap, we have developed a number of initiatives, specific initiatives, and I'm going to talk a bit about them. They fall under three dimensions. One's called transforming the economy, the other one's called safeguarding the resilience of our natural capital, and the third one is called dealing with the key sectors. And in the interest of time, I'm going to focus entirely on the first one, so on transforming the economy. This breaks down into these four elements where we are developing initiatives. One is about the promotion of sustainable production and consumption patterns, where we're developing more criteria about green public procurement. We're working on further things to improve the eco-design of products, so that with all these we can expand the markets, through example, via the labeling. 5, okay. That gives me time to finish that slide and maybe the last one, which is not too bad because I'm only skipping one then. Okay, next thing is stimulating research and innovation. The new EU program for stimulating research and innovation is called Horizon 2020. Under that, resource efficiency is a key dimension. We're promoting innovation partnerships like the EIP, the European Innovation Partnership on Water. Another key element of transforming the economy is to getting prices right, and Aldo has spoken about the two key elements within that, namely reform of environmentally harmful subsidies and the environmental tax reform as a means to change the incentives. And the last point is turning waste into a resource, meaning to stimulate secondary materials markets to avoid that we continue with this linear economy of producing, consuming, and then throwing away, but rather recycle the resources that went into the products, which also means redesigning products. That the recycling process is going to be facilitated. And these two charts show you a bit the scope for improvement that we have here. This one shows you how little in some of the member states this shift from the linear to the circular economy as far as waste is concerned has been implemented. And this second chart about the use of environmental taxes shows you how much some member states and how relatively little some other member states have used these market-based instruments. And that one I'm going to skip. And I'm going to talk about the next step, which is the Green Economy Package, which we will adopt by the end of May, if all goes well. One key element of it will be the review of our waste management policy, which means reviewing the targets, the collection targets, the recycling targets, improving the implementation of our waste management policy, what would be options to improve this implementation. Then the second point, and that was also mentioned several times already this morning, is what steps can we take towards a circular economy? How can we improve eco-design? How can we improve the use of MBIs? How can we set better targets and indicators? And Aldo referred to the Beyond GDP work that we're doing there. The third important point, and I spoke to Alexander about that, and he's also working on this, is the question of how do we finance investments in resource efficiency in a better way? How do we improve the scope for companies to get money here? And finally, there's a number of other Commission initiatives that we've foreseen, more specific ones, like sustainable food, sustainable construction, which is an important area where a lot of energy can be saved, but also a lot of materials. And finally, we are also working on the international dimension, the follow-up to the Rio+20 conference from last year, and further ways to support the green jobs. And that's it in a bit of a rush. Thank you.